Good morning, class. Happy Tuesday. So, I have been getting questions and stuff from several students, which is awesome, about nutrition. And so, instead of waiting until Friday, I want to get you guys the information as soon as possible. So, we have already kind of gone over 2 rules for food, right? The first rule and the most basic, so there's step 1, is if it had eyeballs, right? Let's draw some eyes. Or if it grew from the ground. So I'm going to draw a little flower dealio here, thingamajigger. There we go. So if it had eyeballs or if it grew from the ground, you're probably okay. And if you do nothing else through life except eat those things, which if we just, animals, plants, nothing out of a cellophane bag, nothing that has a nutrition label on it, right? Those are all naturally occurring things that, yeah, we want to be eating. The least amount of processing is usually the best. Okay. The next step up from that is what was in the L1 training handbook, just in that 100 words of fitness, and that's eating lean meats, vegetables, nuts and seeds, little starch, no sugar. Okay, pretty simple, right? So to just lean meats. Vegetables, nuts and seeds, little starch. Oh, some fruit. No sugar. Now this no sugar one is huge, okay? And it hides in almost everything that comes in a package or has a nutrition label on it. There are fruits, or are some sugars in the fruit, and you kind of have to think about those as like the candy of the natural world. So it's not, eating more and more and more fruit is not always the best. It's going to be a lot of simple carbohydrates and a lot of sugars and a lot of things that we're going to dive into the science behind all of this and kind of get you guys that nutrition talk that you've never really heard before in school and kind of broken it down into a real measurable science. So usually when we talk about food and nutrition, the people that I talk to say, well, you have to restrict calories and increase exercise. It's not true. Okay, we don't need to restrict calories, nor do we really have to increase exercise. We just have to make sure that we're eating things in the right ratio. So first of all, if you don't know what a calorie is, it's actually it's a unit of measurement used in physics a lot, and it actually measures the amount of energy it takes to heat 1 liter of water 1 degree Celsius. Okay, so it's actually kilocalories, it's kcals. And I gotta be honest, you guys, it's usually done by a flame, and they burn the food, and then they see how much the water warms up, and then that's how they kind of put a caloric value to it. So you guys do not have any fire. We talk about, oh, you get that fire. That's not a real thing. You guys don't have fire inside of you. You're not a simple machine or a robot or a steam engine. You're an organic being made up of a bunch of different hormones. And especially now in the teenage years, those hormones can be going crazy, and it's really important to have your diet doing the right things for you so that we can control it and tame it and just monitor it, so that we get the best product. Get better sleep, get better energy, get better focus, get better emotional states. So in order to do that, we're going to look at really some good science, and I'm going to give you the template. I don't want to bore you guys with citations and all that stuff. If you want it, I can get it for you. Ask me and I'll put you in the right direction or send you all the stuff. But we're going to look at, this is all based off of the Zone diet, and it looks at 3 macronutrients. So simplest, a little more. This is going to be pretty complex, and if you really want to bug out on this and do it, awesome. Okay, so this is looking at macronutrient based. Okay, so our 3 big macronutrients are proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Okay, so proteins usually going to be meat, stuff like that, and this is if you guys come to me and you talk about different diets, we've already discussed that a diet is simply consuming anything. So if you're eating anything at all, technically you're on a diet, and we can look at the value of that diet. But our macronutrients again is protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Okay? So proteins are actually just big, long, like it's amino acids that are put up and put into things. And so when proteins when you eat them, it stimulates a hormonal response. When you eat anything, you are stimulating a hormonal response in your body. You have to understand that. When you drink anything, but water really, you are stimulating a hormonal response. So, and it triggers your body to react and to process those nutrients in different ways. When we eat proteins, they get broken down and it actually stimulates the response of something called glucagon. Okay? Glucagon. Okay? That is an energy mover. Okay? It stimulates the consumption of energy and the use of energy. Meaning that it actually gets energy out of your body and makes your body use it in that. I don't want to bore you guys too much. It makes your body use the energy that it already has. So if you've ever heard of the Atkins diet or the ketogenic diet right now, a lot of people see rapid losses in fat tissue because of this increase in glucagon that's getting consumed. Okay, and the lack of carbohydrates. So carbohydrates, when you eat these, and this is carbohydrates, by the way, get broken down into sugars. A carbohydrate is a long string of different sugars, and if you have ever heard of the more complex carbohydrates, it's just a more tightly woven string of sugars. And that means it takes longer for your body to break them down, but inevitably they get broken down into sugars. So you have glucose, fructose, sucrose, really OSE. Usually if you hear a word OSE with food, it means that it's a type of sugar. But when your body senses sugar in your blood, your intestines, your stomach breaks it all down. It puts the sugar into the bloodstream so that it can go to the cells and be used as energy. If there's extra energy, it gets stored as body fat tissue or adipose tissue. Your body, in order to put that energy into a cell so that you don't go, into this, basically it means too much sugar in your blood, it releases insulin. Okay, so insulin is the hormone which tells your body, hey, we have too much energy in the blood, we need to take it out, and we're going to store it in these fat cells for later. Okay, and then the fats can get broken down into ketones, and oh man, fats are awesome. There is a saying, you are what you eat. Not really true. Fats, like nice fatty steak, is like my favorite thing in the world. Fats are not a bad thing, and those are what you're going to get. Those, if you guys look over here, the proteins are going to be from the lean meats. Carbohydrates you usually get from vegetables, and obviously some fruits. And then fats, a lot of times, are coming from those nuts and the seeds, avocados, right? You can't get them from meats, obviously, but like we said, lean meats are the best. Just because I really like fatty meats doesn't mean I eat them all the time. Okay, so now we've got these three macronutrients. And we know that they get broken down and release glucagon, insulin, and then get utilized as ketones. But now we need to know the ratio. How much am I supposed to eat of everything? Right, so proteins, you're usually looking at, the ratio here for what we're gonna call a block. And again, this is all based off of the Zone Diet, which is also in that L1 training book that I gave you from CrossFit. And it has a bunch of meal plans and everything in it. But if reading it gets a little confusing, hopefully you can refer back to this. So, macronutrients, proteins, you're gonna want 7 grams per block. And we're gonna go through what all this means, don't worry. 7 grams per block. So if we look at that and we just put a little circle around it, okay? Carbohydrates, you're gonna want 9 grams per block. And then for fats, it depends on what kind of exercise and how much energy you're spending, but it's usually around 1.5 to 3 grams. Okay? And then that is 1 block. All right? Now, when we are looking at, well, how many blocks am I supposed to eat? It's really based off of how much lean body tissue you have. And so this kind of gets into a touchy subject sometimes with high school kids. But you remember, I don't care what you've done up until the point of being in my classroom. I just care that now that you're here, what are we doing moving forward? So there are some gyms in the area. Unfortunately, Complete Nutrition here in Rancho Bernardo just had to close its doors. But there are several different ways that you can find your biometrics. So basically you go in and you can put your height, weight in, and you stand on a scale with some sensors, and it can tell you a pretty good idea of what your body fat percentage is, lean body muscle, bone, your hydration. It gives you a bunch of measurements. And when you get that, then we can know how much of this we need to do. So when it comes to finding out the number of blocks that you need in a day, you're usually going to take what your body weight is. So if we use like a 200-pound male, okay, and we'll say 10%. We're going to make this pretty easy. We'll say that male's 10% body fat, meaning he's got 20 pounds body fat on him. So it's 180 pounds of lean body mass, or fat-free mass. Okay, sorry, I wanted to get my notepad to make sure I don't mess this up with you guys. So we're 200-pound male, right? 10% body fat, so 180 pounds of lean body mass. If you don't understand that math, ask me, I will explain it. And then there's an activity factor, right? So the more that you exercise, or the more active that you are, the more food that you have to consume. Pretty self-explanatory. So for us, we're gonna do a moderate kind of, there's kind of active, kind of healthy, fit person. And so that's gonna be 0.7. We're gonna multiply it by 0.7. It kind of just, it's 0.5 if you do absolutely nothing, and then it ranges up to 1.0 if you are an elite level athlete that's training, like that's your main job, is to train and exude energy. So 180 times 0.7, if I do some quick maths here, 18, 36, 54, so 124, or 126. Okay, it's 126. Now, it's not pounds or anything, that's just the number, that's the grams of protein that we need in a day. Okay, so 126 grams of protein per day. Okay, so we go over here and do some long division. That's why you learned it in school. 0, 1, 7, 56, 8. Okay, so this, if you guys can't see my math, I just did long division super fast. And we need 18 blocks of food per day. Okay, so that would mean what? 4 for breakfast, like 1 block snack, 4 blocks for lunch, 1 block snack in the afternoon, 4 blocks for dinner. And if you need meal plans, or if you need to see what that is, this would basically mean a 4-block meal could be 4 ounces of chicken, 4 ounces of chicken, some rice, and then some almonds. Like, that would be a very, very simplistic and basic zone block meal. And the crazy thing is it does not take a long time, especially for young individuals, for your body's hormones to kind of balance themselves out. So if you do this for a day, you're gonna find yourself feeling more alert, you're gonna sleep better that night. And it's really cool to be able to get that quick feedback and just continue to utilize it and say, oh, wow, this does kind of work. And then if you see yourself, you have one of those I used to eat a ton of sugary cereal in the morning, if I'm going to be completely honest. And I remember eating it and feeling super energized and kind of hyper, but then crashing and wanting to take a nap and not really realizing what I was doing to myself, until I started having some eggs with avocado and some berries in the morning, or a sweet potato. Oh, sweet potatoes in the morning. And then seeing how much different that made me throughout the day. So I am not going to be the guy that tells you breakfast is the most important meal of the day and you got to have it. I'm not saying that, but when you start putting those quality nutrient dense foods in you in the right ratios, it is pretty staggering how much change that you can see. So I know this is a quick video. There's a lot of numbers and stuff up here. I'm very excited about talking about this with you guys tomorrow on our Zoom call. Please refer to the L1 training guide. I'm going to put it into the Canvas assignment and have you guys kind of read it and refer back to it. If you can get to a gym and get all this biometric stuff, I want to help you guys as much as you want help with. So please let me know if you need anything, or if you're wanting to really dive into this and use this trimester as a science lab with you and your body. This is a science class. In my mind, this is a science class. And let's run some experiments with diet, exercise, and see how it changes your guys' lives. So anyway, look forward to talking to you guys tomorrow. Please make sure to come with some questions, unless, I'm that good of a teacher. But I do know I went through this stuff really fast, and it may be hard for you to see all the numbers on the board. Anyway, happy Tuesday.